I wanted to do a video on why Lexx is the best sci-fi series show that has ever been made. Why it is an actual masterpiece of a show. And I just want to address some things and explain to y'all what Lexx is actually all about. It is, as y'all have known for a long time, my favorite show. Really, my favorite, by far favorite sci-fi show, and favorite show in general. It is so much fun, and I hear so many people talk about, like, why is Lexx like it is, and it's like this show. And here's the thing, can you compare a raven, why it's like a writing desk? That certain saying comes from Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter asks everyone, why is a raven like a writing desk? And everybody asks him, well, why? And he says he doesn't know. That is basically Lexx. Would you ask Alice in Wonderland why is her dream so weird? Would you ask the Mad Hatter why he's mad? It is a show on its own that has its own unique ways. You're not going to be able to make the same amount of sense out of it as the other shows would, but yet it makes perfect sense. The storyline is actually set up very easy to understand. You can follow the main story with no problems, not confusing. There was times where some sci-fi shows such as Farscape got very confusing. There was times where Babylon 5 and Battlestar Galactica, they all had their moments of confusion. But I tell you right now, watch Lexx and tell me where you'll be confused at. The story plot is super simple, and I want to go through it just in season 1 for now. I don't want to make the video too long. As a mega fan, it's easy to go too long on a show that you really, really like. And I've seen the perspective of people who were not fans of the show, and I really want to give the internet the perspective of a fan who is a mega fan of the show. So without further ado, let's talk about season 1, episode 1. I worship his shadow. We go into the main character. At the time, the main character is actually Kai, which is played by a really cool actor named Michael McManus. And he goes, and him and his people, the Brunin G's, are trying to destroy the Shadow, which is a person who was mixed with bug. And they had defeated the last insect war, but this certain one, they're in a new, by the way, this is second Brunis. This is the second planet. They come from a different planet. And the first planet, they defeated them. This one, they lose. But there's a prophecy. The prophecy is that Kai will destroy the Shadow. So with that knowledge, he has bravery to go up against this undefeatable Darth Vader-ish sort of foe. But the thing is, he is most certainly killed, and it's confusing for him because he knows that there's a prophecy by a time prophet who will do, it always happens, whatever she says, but he's dying at the Shadow's feet. And he says to the Shadow, I will defeat you. He's like, I think not. And he stabs Kai and kills him. But the Shadow, in his arrogance, saves Kai's body. He makes him decarbonated, a dead assassin, like a vampire zombie mixed together, and puts him away, makes him work for him for 2,000 years. And this backfires, his arrogance backfires on him very badly, because in the end, Kai regains his memories and ends up fulfilling the prophecy and killing him. Now, to address something about the Stanley Tweedle character, which Stanley is my all-time favorite. He's my favorite. He's really, I love them all really. Stanley is so cute, and the actor was so sweet to me. I wrote him on Facebook. I said, happy birthday to him, and he called me an angel, and it was so sweet. It's like, oh, what an angel you are. I've talked to almost every character on Lexx in real life. I talked to the actors Xena SEEBERG was so nice to me. She just wrote me actually last month. I was asking her about the tattoo on her belly, which you will see in later seasons, and she told me about that. She told me that it was actually a fake, which blew my mind. I've talked to the guy who plays Stanley, which is Brian Downey, so I have a very close connection with the people of Lexx. I even talked to Leica and Bunny, and they were all really, really sweet. And so I really, really like this show, and I've sought them out, and they've all been extremely nice to me. That's very rare that actors will actually reach back out to you, thumbs up your comment, and talk to you back. That's a huge plus about these people. They're so friendly and so nice, and I absolutely love them. So now let's go into Stanley. Stanley's character, he's basically a broken guy. Stanley used to be an Astro B hero. He was not the kind of slightly evil wimp you see later on. He messed up, and I know somebody talked about the sexualness of Lexx and why is it so sexual. Well, if you see the main theme of the show is about how lust gets them in trouble all the time. It was lust that actually destroys the universe in a way, because Stanley has these amino codes in his tooth. He was actually very important in the fight against the shadow. But for lust, he decides to take a little detour and have a little fun at a brothel. Now, because he does this, he miscalculates how much air he has left. And he's like, I need help. Anybody out there? And two men find him, but they are disguised as a woman and say, oh, we'll help you. Or they're disguised as, actually not a woman at this time, but they're disguised as something else, and they say, oh, we'll help you. And of course he's like, oh, thank you, and they help themselves, if you know what I mean. Stanley gets throughout the series, Stanley gets sexually assaulted quite often. They get him. That happens. He pays for everything he did. And because of it, they also get the amino acid codes out of his tooth, and the shadow takes over everything. The resistance is very Star Wars-ish. If you like Star Wars, you should like Lexx. The shadow gets the codes and takes over everything because of Stanley. He destroys so many people, so many deaths on his hands, and because of that, he kind of goes numb. He stops caring about things. He stops caring about like life, and he just kind of just sits. He's late to work, and because he's so late to work, he gets merits detected from him that actually make it so that he's now going to get he's going to lose an eye and private area and some other things that he don't want to lose. Now, of course, luckily he does not lose these things, but that's what was going to happen to him if all chaos didn't break loose in this certain episode. Now, I must admit, I love all the characters equally. I call Stanley my all-time favorite, but Zev's my all-time favorite. Kai's my all-time favorite because they all are so unique. But yeah, let's go to Zev. Zev, I heard somebody else also address, like, why did she fall in love with Kai so soon? Well, because she was raised in a box. Zev was literally given to a place called the Wife Bank, and her parents just gave her away. They just didn't want her for whatever reason. And in the Wife Bank, she is trained to basically serve any man that she's given to at all times. Almost like a love slave, which is what she's turned into. But in the Wife Bank, she's supposed to be just a regular person, but made to you will serve your husband in every way he asks. So falling in love instantly was kind of what she's trained to do. Plus, she has never met anybody else. Kai and Stan are the first humans that she actually talks to. In the box, she's raised by Matron, and Matron is a computer program for her entire life. Her probably 20, maybe 21 years of life in there, she's raised by a computer. And when she comes out, she just grew up to be very ugly. That's just how it is. And her husband does not like the way she looks, and she punches him in the face, which is completely against. He's a high up in the Shadow Order, and for that she is turned into a love slave. Now, luckily for her, she does not get the love slave programming, but all the looks, and she gets to keep the cute body, and instead she replaces, when they go to give her love slave program, and she puts it on a little robot head named 790. But while she's also being changed over, she's being turned into a cluster lizard too. Cluster lizards are monsters that the Shadow uses to eat people who doesn't do what he tells them to do. And instead, they emerges with her while she's getting programmed to become a love slave. So she gets these awesome superpowers, and she also gets to look very hot. Now that's a really big plus for her, but even Seth doesn't get away. The whole time, her whole basic instinct is to fall in love. She was a wife bank girl, rejected constantly, and she sees Kai, but Kai's untouchable. He is dead. He has no emotions for her like that. He has a basic kind of loyalty friendship that develops, but he literally cannot be with her in that sort of way. He actually doesn't have anything down there. They reveal that in a later episode, like season 3. And it's very shocking, but it's awesome. It's such a cool concept. And so with all that beauty, her only options is a guy named Stan, who she cannot stand in that way, though of course later on they become great friends and love each other, but not in that way. He's punished in a way. He doesn't escape at all, because not only was he punished by those men getting him, but he is forever kind of cursed to live with a beautiful woman who will not touch him. She will try to sleep with any other guy, but not him. And it's pretty funny. I remember one episode, he was like, for you to be a love slave, you're not exactly wearing your fingers down with my buttons, trying to get those off. And she's like, ugh. And again, like, that goes back to the sexual theme of this show, that lust gets them in trouble. Their search to find companionship, people, and men get them almost killed every episode. And if we think about it in a life sort of way, isn't that kind of what happens to us? A lot of us try to go after these people, and those people can be sometimes the worst type of people you want to go after. And how many people get in some serious trouble over sex? We're like, I almost say the word too much because gotta keep it PG on YouTube, but how many things happen in a bad way because of sexual relations, that diseases, problems, and Lexx really wants to show that, in my opinion, because bad things happen to them constantly because of that one thing. And yeah, so that is basically why I believe Lexx always really focused on that. And another thing that was brought up was, why is it so sleazy? Well, to be honest, relations like that's done outside of marriage usually is sleazy. Let's be real. It's not, you just see a guy, see a girl. It's not, a bed of roses. Never. So, expecting it to be the flowery way that other shows make it is, again, not really paying attention to Lexx. Lexx is his own show, and it's raw. It's a raw show. It goes into concepts that other shows would be very afraid of, and it goes into it, full on. The CGI it was made. Lexx was born in 2000, and they didn't have Jim Henson to puppeteer everything for them. They wanted to do concepts that their CGI might not have been able to completely execute, but I'm glad they didn't dumb down their imagination because they didn't have the budget for it. So many things is stopped because of money, and Lexx just basically did not allow it to stop them. That every single thing in their imagination they did, and they expected their fans to be mature enough to understand the concept that they're going for, and we were. So let's go into Supernova. In Supernova, we have to travel back to Kai's old planet. We go back into Kai's old Brunus. This is the second Brunus. It's the first Brunus too, and it's basically, I won't get into this. Video's already 13 minutes long. I won't get too long, but in Supernova, we have Tim Curry, he's a big known star, and that was pretty cool. And he tries to, of course, impregnate Stanley, because why not? That is, everybody wants Stanley, but not what Stanley wants. And Zev and Kai, they sing, and she's trying to bring Kai back to life. She thinks that by going back to his home planet, he can come back to life, but of course it does not work out that way. But they were always meant to be there, because the two stars coming together knew them throughout time and said basically She was always meant to be here. Time moves in a circle in this certain show. And because they were here, they were able to get rid of Giga. And I love Giga. She really brings the bolster to her character. She is so much fun. She's crazy. And she ends up biting off Stanley's hand. She is a cannibal. She wants to eat people, and she is awesome. And I love her. And you'll see her throughout the whole like series of Lexx here and there. And yeah, she ends up. This is the only way to really kill her. She's too much of a tough character. She is too much of a bad egg to be killed by anyone. But she gets blown up in the supernova. And there's the whole thing. It's like you can't even really compress it. That whole one's trying to bring Kai back to life, but it fails. And Zev and Kai are almost cut in half. Stanley loses his hand, and again, Star Wars thing. He loses the hand, but he gets it put back on with the protein regenerator, and all is well. And they get rid of their enemy, which was Giga. Then we get eating patterns. Eating patterns is so cool. It's not just about cannibalism at all. Eating patterns is about a parasite. These men were miners, and eating patterns starts off with Kai actually really dying. He dies because he runs out of proto blood, and they want to bury him on a planet. And so when they get down to the planet, they're also looking for food, and this planet is infested with a parasite. What this parasite does, its whole routine is it embeds itself in the person's neck, makes the people turn each other into a liquid nutrients, which supposed to be it just tastes too good. It's like Soylent Green. It's just too delicious. But they're not even drinking it. Their worm in their neck is drinking it. And then after it's done, it ends up killing its host. And so that's what it does. That's this parasite's pattern. That's why it's called eating pattern. And of course Stanley gets infected, because why not? Stanley catches it always. And I mean, if you think he's a character who pays for everything that he does. And so after he catches the virus, he almost gets eaten, or actually they almost eat Zev. And luckily she gets saved, of course, by Kai, who wakes back up because they bury him, and somehow the sun just reanimates him there, and he gets there, saves his friends. They pull the worm out of Stanley's neck. The people who can't get any of the pattern, which the pattern, that's how they say it in the show. The ones who can't get the pattern, the worm will eat their brain. It's going to eat. So it's either eat each other or it eats them, and it hurts them all the time. And after a while, it kills them all. And of course, they destroy the giant worm, which is awesome. And they escape the killing that parasite, which needed to be killed. They were just going to keep on spreading. That could have possibly taken over the whole universe, really. So they kill that. Now, of course, Giga Shadow, which of course is like a favorite. It's the end of season 1. Season 1's broken up into 4 movies, by the way, instead of a whole episode, 20 episodes. It's the only season in Lexx that's broken up into movies, which I thought was such a unique situation. And again, for it to even have the CGI that it has, it came out in 1997, so it's very old. But I thought they did a great job. So now Giga Shadow is basically the showdown. Kai has now fulfilled the prophecy. He adopts a baby cluster lizard, and they go back to the cluster, which is where the shadow is, because they was in a different universe. They had to go back to the old universe, because there's 2 universes, by the way, not galaxies, not solar systems. There's 2 universes, and they have to go back to the old universe to get him proto blood, because he's going to die for real. And once he dies for real, there's no reanimating Kai. He's really dead. And because Zev's in love with him, they go back and they get his proto blood, but it's a lot. There's these brains that it's all the old shadows. The shadow is like a Darth Vader who lives for 2,000 years, because he's always getting a new host. The shadow essence is the bug essence that wants to kill all humans. Insert Bender right there. And it passes on and on from different hosts, and that's how he lives forever. But those host brains are honored and put away. into like little glass cases, and little plastic cases actually, and those are the brains of all the predecessors. And so they end up getting mostly crushed by Giga, crushed by Kai and Stanley, and which is good because they're all evil. And then they go and they defeat the Shadow, which is a really cool part. And the one that actually defeats the Shadow is the baby cluster lizard, because it's like they use it as like a parasite on the Shadow. The Shadow's actually a giant bug. And they put the baby cluster lizard in there, and when the Shadow thinks he's about to win, he thinks he's about to eat them or destroy them, because even the Lexx, which that's what the show is named after all this time, I didn't even mention that the show is named the Lexx because the Lexx is the ship they live in, which is a living ship, very similar to Farscape. Both have a living ship. That is the most powerful weapon of destruction, which ironically can only be flown by Stan, who gets the living key, which goes into his hand because it passes on from person to person based off of, again, either the height of sex, or it passes on based on death. Now he got it, of course, based on death, and Zev can take any time she wants, but she doesn't. She finds him that repulsive. But either way, the Lexx, as powerful as it is, it belongs to the Shadow. The Shadow is the one who made it, and so it cannot blow him up. It can't even defeat him. But ironically, a baby cluster lizard embeds in the Shadow's bug brain and kills them. The show ends. They're all happy, and even Kai and Zev kiss. At that time, we have a different Zev, by the way. If you do watch it, you'll see a different Zev than the one that we always get. I absolutely love both of them, but I must admit, SEEBERG, the later on Zev, is my favorite. This is Eva Heberman. I love her too, though. She has a great job being Zev, but they are different. They act totally different. She's a white-haired Zev, she still wears her bridal gown throughout the series, throughout the first season. But then we get my favorite Zev, which is Xena, and she wears a cluster lizard skin, and she's a lot more sensual and a lot more fun, in my opinion. She's funny and fun, and I think she melts with the characters a lot, like really, really good. So, but that's much later on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We just want to stick with season 1 for now. It's already 21 minutes long, so I'm going to end it here. I love Lexx, and oh, by the way, after they kiss, it ends kind of on a cliffhanger because Kai and Zev, they look like they're going to be happy together, but then Kai's eyes turn black, which means that the Shadow is actually inside of him, and that's kind of what season 2 picks up with, because Kai is compelled to go back to the cluster because he's actually possessed. So that's how it ends, but it's awesome. I would highly recommend Lexx. It doesn't have a boring bone in its body. It is so much fun. It is Alice in Wonderland. It is the Alice in Wonderland of sci-fi shows, and it's always an adventure, always a lot going on, and for me it's actually very easy to understand. So I hope y'all check it out. You can actually watch most of it online, which is even more convenient. And I'll leave a link to a playlist that I like to go to. Some of them are blocked in our country, but you can get like the most of them there. You can even see it on maybe Amazon Prime or Netflix, but you can find Lexx online. And I hope y'all do check it out. It's my favorite show, and I will talk to y'all guys later. Okay, guys. Bye.